So LeBron was obviously a part of the NBA 75th anniversary team, but some notable names left off. What was your biggest issue with that list, Perk?
Ooh, Molly, first of all, let me say this.
Okay.
Doing the top 75 list is hard as hell, okay? Because I did one, and it is hard. It took me 6 hours. But I will say this. I am so disappointed at this list because Dwight Howard gets disrespected so much, it's ridiculous, right? We all think about the Dwight Howard, you know, when he played for Charlotte or when he played for Atlanta or towards the end of his career, now that he's been a role player playing for the Lakers. But we forget about that monster that was down there in Orlando. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, leading the league in blocks damn near every season. 4-time rebounding champ. I mean, the guy was averaging 20 and 10. It was at one point when he was in Orlando, it was a discussion. We had a discussion about whether he was the best player in the NBA. And at that time, you had Kobe Bryant, you had LeBron James, you had multiple others, Dwayne Wade, and we were talking about, is Dwight Howard the best player? Now, talking about the top 75 list, if I'm going to add Dwight Howard, who am I taking off?
Okay.
I just don't see how you put Bill Walton on that list before Dwight Howard. That is the most disturbing thing I've seen in the last 6 months. The most disturbing thing I've seen in the last 6 months. Bill Walton on that list over Dwight Howard.
Okay, Perk.
I like that word, disturbing. Good choice.
Put Perk up on the screen, please. Put Perk on the screen, please. Because I have to see him when I say this. You know, Perk, I'm going to forgive you, you know, because, see, even though you big Perk, Uncle Perk and all stuff, you know, you are relatively younger than me. Let Stephen Naismith, Papa Smith speak a few words of wisdom. Let me sprinkle this on you, okay? You might not have been born when Bill Walton was with the Portland Trail Blazers and you saw him take out Dr. J and McGinnis and all of these boys. Bill Walton was special. The only reason why Bill Walton slid in a lot of people's eyes is because he was no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was no Wilt Chamberlain, and he was no Bill Russell. That's different because that's an elite, the elite of elite. But Bill Walton was one of the most dominant big men presence ever. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Dwight Howard, love Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is a top 100 player in NBA history. Top 75 was hard, bro. Top 75. And I got to tell myself because I had a vote, and obviously it took me. Took you 6 hours, Perk? I got to tell myself, bro, it took me 2 to 3 weeks. I was struggling. I kept going back and forth, back and forth. I was calling Hall of Famers. I was on the phone with them. I was going back and forth, debating stuff like that because of who you got to leave off, okay? I left. It breaks my heart because I love these brothers, and I think they top 100. But I had to leave off Vince Carter. I had to leave off Tracy McGrady. I damn sure wasn't leaving off AI. I'll tell you that much. I wasn't leaving off D-Wade. And I'll tell you who else I wasn't leading off because this is my biggest beef with the team. I'm still looking because I want to make sure I'm not going blind because as I've gotten older, Kendrick Perkins, I have to confess, I have to wear reading glasses now. Kendrick Perkins, I gotta wear reading glasses. I can't just read no more, bro. I got to put on the reading glasses. You know, I got to put on. I'm looking for it, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't see Klay Thompson on this list. 3-time champion Klay Thompson. One of the top 5 shooters in NBA history, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, who's provided evidence over the last 2 years of what the Golden State Warriors are without Klay Thompson. That Klay Thompson, who was an elite defender while he was a top 5 shooter, en route to going to 5 straight NBA Finals and winning 3 chips. That guy is not on this list. That is a much bigger snub than Dwight Howard. And I'll take it a step further. What really bothers me is that Klay Thompson has now been snubbed twice. Do you know that the media, I wouldn't blame Klay Thompson if he never spoke to the media again in life. This brother
Why?
was due to get, you know where I'm going. This brother, Molly, was due to get the max extension of over $220 million. The media didn't make him a third-team All-NBA. They picked Kemba Walker instead. No disrespect to Kemba, but they picked Kemba Walker instead. And Klay Thompson, the most he could get, according to the rules, CBA rules, the most he could get was $191 million or so. That media cost Klay Thompson $30 million. If that man never spoke to the media again, I wouldn't blame him. Now, I ain't talking about myself, because I damn sure voted for him. Tell you that much. Klay Thompson.
You see,
Hey,
Perk?
Molly,
Time to move on.
Molly, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
Carry on.
You know what that is?
No?
That's that's how they used to dribble back in the day when Stephen A. said I wasn't born. Some of the guys on the list when they was dribbling the ball, and he wanted to put them on the list with that right hand. But I want to see that. Yeah, that old man, please. Miss me with that.
He tried to use the old man card.
Molly, let me tell you something about Kendrick Perkins. He's not admitting. Kendrick respects history.
Right now.
I'm crazy, damn it.
The biggest challenge.
We know that.
Yeah, we already know that. We already know that. So that just from hearing your tone, I know you about to disagree with me, and I knew we couldn't go a whole show without getting into it. So I'm ready to make some hamburgers because I got beef. Listen, when LeBron James went back to Cleveland, okay?
Right.
That was his hardest path. Remember, Dan Gilbert, he called the man a Benedict Arnold when he left to go to South Beach. You know, I was in that locker room, not when he won the title, but I was there the 2 years before then when he had lost to Golden State, And do you know how hard it is being in the locker room when a guy, your franchise guy, the face of the league, and LeBron James and Dan Gilbert, the owner, don't even speak to one another? It's strictly business. So then you take it to this championship that he won against a 73-9 team, the Golden State Warriors, right? Arguably the best team that was ever assembled. I mean, it was 73-9. Being down 3-1 in the NBA Finals. And LeBron James came and walked that down and won the championship. That was his hardest path and will be his hardest path ever in his career.
Oh, please. That is utterly ridiculous. First of all, let me tell you something right now. I got a new nickname for you. It's affectionate, though, because it's beautiful. I'm just looking at the way you look right now. Santa Perk. That works for me with the beard and the whole bit. I mean, if you put on the Santa Claus outfit, Santa Perk. That's what we're going to go to Santa Perk. That's what we're going to call you from now on, or Uncle Perk. Either way works. But here's the deal. I get where you coming from, bro, because you brought in the emotion and the LeBron James, the Dan Gilbert relationship. You obviously is intimately involved in it. You know all about that stuff. I get all of that. Here's the flip side to it. I took the liberty, Kendrick Perkins, of hearkening back to what road LeBron James had to go through in order to win the chip. So we got the Detroit Pistons that they took out in 4 games. They weren't much back in 2016. You know that. Then after that, it was the Atlanta Hawks. Before Trae Young got to town, they weren't much to brag home about. We know that. Then you had the Toronto Raptors. Now with Kawhi Leonard, with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry and those boys. And you know LeBron had their number for years. The road to prosperity, it wasn't that tough. Now, when you went against Golden State, that's different. Here's my issue. You know good and damn well if Kendrick Perkins hadn't got suspended. You understand what I'm saying? In that game 4, when LeBron dropped him on the floor and Kendrick Perkins kicked his feet up, but because he had kicked his feet up one too many times in the postseason, Adam Silver in the NBA decides to give LeBron James a damn stimulus package, suspending Draymond Green for that game 5. Andrew Bogut and Iguodala got hurt in game 5. They weren't any good for the rest of the series, and as a result, even when Draymond came back, they were handicapped. Golden State should have took them out at 5. Now we get to now, and this is why I completely disagree with you. You see what's going on in the Western Conference, my brother. You see what's going on. When LeBron James went to Miami, your role was Indiana. When you went to Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love, your role was Golden State. Now that you in L.A., you got Golden State as a problem. You saw the Clippers last night, and that was without Kawhi Leonard. I got news for you. with Ty Lue, who you recognize and I recognize as arguably the best coach in basketball. You got him to go through. You got Phoenix, the reigning Western Conference champions. We can't sniff at them. I'm looking at you got Utah that you just finished blowing up. Jamal Murray is going to be back for Denver with the Joker and Michael Porter Jr., who's ascended. And I'm not going to just summarily dismiss Portland. I know Dallas looked awful last night. I'm certainly not going to count them as a title contender, but Luka makes some noise. You never know. When you look at all of these damn teams in the Western Conference and what you got to deal with during the regular season, just to position yourself appropriately for postseason action, that's where I get in terms of, all right, the road ain't going to be easier for LeBron.
Well, answer this for me, Stephen A.
Sure.
Answer this.
Sure.
Who has the best roster in the Western Conference? Out of all those teams you name, who has the best roster?
Right now, it's the Lakers.
Yeah, for sure, right? 6 future Hall of Famers.
Okay.
6 future Hall of Famers.
Okay.
You're talking about LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? Mm-hmm. So that's 2 players that are arguably top 10 players in today's game.
No,
okay?
I think both of them are easily top 6. Top 6, yes.
Okay, yeah, in the top 10, because Anthony Davis go fall at 6, so they put him in the top 10, right? And then you have Russell Westbrook, which one could argue puts him in the top 15, okay? And then you have Carmelo Anthony, you have Rajon Rondo, you have Dwight Howard, you have everything in the world. They have the best roster. They should be able to beat everybody. You know why? Because they're stacked, right? So one could argue that this might be the most talented roster that LeBron James has ever had. So that's why I'm going to go against your argument about how strong the Western Conference is, because this is the most help that he's had since he's been playing.
Well, it's relative, because the bottom line is he might have had less help when he was in Cleveland or when he was in Miami, but they were still the favorites. They still had the better talent. They were still the creme de la creme that everybody was shooting for. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm looking at the level of competition. You're looking at the roster he's playing with. I'm looking at the competition. When he was in Miami, it was Indiana with Paul George and the crew. When he was in Cleveland, it was Golden State, because it wasn't really anybody in the East that could mess with them. Now that he's in the West, I gave you 5 teams. I gave you Utah. I gave you the Clippers.
Guys, veteran teams, people aren't going to like to hear it, because we want to see the Lakers come out strong and be that team that dominates people right away. This is like training camp for them, right? They have to work out so many different things with their team defensively, a lot of question marks around it. That whole thing about passion, for me, that conflict is a good sign of growth, because that was about miscues on how they guard a screen and roll. And my thing is, I don't want anybody on that team to settle for mediocrity. Mm-hmm. And LeBron James knows. You also saw in that game him talking trash to Cameron Payne. You say, all right, remember, be humble now. So I'm going to bet the house on the fact that guys like Russell Westbrook, he and I talk about it on our show all the time. We as athletes, I'm petty. I'm crazy competitive. I remember everything you do. So all the people lambasting Russell Westbrook, you don't think he's going to remember that? All the people talking trash to LeBron James, you don't think he's going to remember that? People not having Dwight Howard on the top 75 list, you don't think Dwight remembers that? That conflict you saw? These are all things that are going to perpetuate and motivate the Lakers. I don't care about where they start. I care about where they finish.
Okay. Yeah, and I think they still are the team to beat, despite this little tit that they had on the sideline. In practice, you can only imagine, Stephen A. and Molly, what goes on in practice. Mm-hmm. The arguments, the pushing and shoving. They're trying to sort things out. Yeah. This won't be the first time. This isn't the first time, and it won't be the last time. It just so happened it was on television. We saw it, and it was like, oh, God, what is going on here? It didn't cost them the game. It didn't cost them their season.
But why was Magic so bothered by it then?
Well, because Magic's been in a situation, like you said, for 42 years. He's never seen that. They handled their confrontation differently when he played.
I've seen a lot of confrontation like that. I mean, I've seen a lot of people go at it. I've worked out with Kobe. I've seen Kobe try to fight. I've seen Michael Jordan try to fight people.
That's not the biggest reason. If they were not to advance, that wouldn't be the biggest reason. It would be because their age, they're breaking down, they're not playing defense. That would be the problem, Stephen A.
Let me say this. First of all, the argument was nothing. It was much ado about nothing. And if you look at Dwight Howard, when Dwight Howard was going back at him, because NBA TV showed the complete footage, and AD had chased D. Howard down and confronted him. All Dwight Howard was saying to him was not on camera, not in public. If you look at him and you watch him, he's like, not here.
Yeah,
not,
being a veteran.
In other words, he's
being
like,
a veteran.
not here. That's all he was saying. He wasn't having a problem with Anthony Davis, what Anthony Davis was saying. He's saying, you don't come at me like that with the cameras rolling in front of everybody. That's all Dwight Howard was saying. That's number one. Number two, let me say this to you. It wasn't a big deal, but what I'm seeing from the Lakers is a big deal only in this respect. It ain't about Russell Westbrook and questioning him. This brother's a walking triple-double. He's a future Hall of Famer. He made it on my top 75 list. Of course, LeBron did. Of course, AD did. Of course, Carmelo Anthony did. Dwight Howard, no, he'll be my top 100. He wasn't my top 75. That's a subject for another day. But let me tell you something right now. My reservations about the Lakers is my reservations about everybody. I am willing to sit here in front of y'all right now, and I'm telling you right now, the Golden State Warriors might win it all. And I'm telling you this, and let me say, I'm getting to a point where I'm using my imagination, imagining Klay Thompson comes back. Of course, I'm not talking about as presently constructed. Klay Thompson comes back. Wiseman comes back. All right? What I've seen from Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Damian Lee, Kuminga coming back. You know, they're not coming. You know, he's the first round pick, number 7 overall. I'm looking at this squad, their ability to hit shots and free throws. And I'm telling you right now, if Klay Thompson and brothers come back healthy, the only thing that will have any chance of stopping them is Kyrie Irving returning to Brooklyn to join Harden and KD. There is no one else, including the Lakers, that will be able to knock off the Golden State Warriors.
See, I push back on you.
That's
on that,
where I'm
though.
at with
and
that.
not as a Laker fan, but merely as a basketball fan.
Okay.
Because this is a new team and a new nucleus coming together.
Okay.
You've got to give them an opportunity to gel. We just assume Klay Thompson's going to come back as Klay Thompson.
Right.
This brother's had 2 different surgeries over the last couple of years.
Okay. I want to respond to that, but let me say this to you. A couple of things that you need to pay attention to that I'm bringing up. Number one, I'm assuming the Lakers are going to get it together because I believe in any team led by LeBron James, they eventually will be ready. So long as they're healthy, they eventually will be ready come playoff time. And I believe in Russell Westbrook. I think he gets a bad rap, people calling him selfish or whatever. He might need to make better decisions, but he definitely needs to improve his perimeter shot because they dare him to shoot sometimes. That's problematic for them. And him and LeBron James have both struggled to shoot 70% from the free throw line in the last 3 years. People have ignored that. You got to make free throws come playoff time. That's one element. And number two, it's important, Jay, because you know you're going to get to the line. The game slows down. Defenses get back. More fouls are called. You're going to have to make free throws. We know Golden State ain't missing them. But these guys, they might miss them. Number two, and more importantly, remember when you bring up Klay Thompson's key?
Yes.
If it's Russell Westbrook and he has that kind of injury, it's a disaster. Because his success, is predicated on his athleticism.
But he still got to play defense, though.
Yeah, Klay Thompson.
But Klay got to still play defense.
Time out. Klay's success is based off his athleticism too now. Don't sleep on his athleticism.
I'm not.
Klay Thompson is one of the most athletic dudes here.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about he's such a pure shooter is what I'm saying.
Great. So you see him as a pure...
He's not going to lose his shot. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, his shot. But he was also one of their biggest clampdown defenders when it came to clutch moments.
I agree with that.
And my thing is, when you have you haven't played basketball in 2 years. If you were to sit here and say, next year, I'm like, okay, I hear you on that next year, because I actually want to see Klay play for a significant amount of time, not get injured, find his rhythm. I think it's a lot to put on Klay Thompson coming back this year. Left knee, torn ACL.
Twice.
Comes back twice, comes back off that. Torn Achilles in the right leg. That's compensated.
Will be the GOAT. And currently, LeBron needs just under 3,000 points to pass Kareem. So, Stephen A., can LeBron go down as the greatest of all time?
No, not to me. And let me be very clear in addressing Shaquille O'Neal, my little big brother, who I love dearly. That brother knows when he's saying something ignorant, and he just did. And he did it on purpose. I'm going to get him here. And let me tell you why. Because based on what Shaquille O'Neal's description of it, Kendrick Perkins, is, I guess we can say Karl Malone's the best, is the second best player of all time. Karl Malone retired as the second greatest player in NBA history. I mean, that's what we doing now? That's what we doing? It's about points now? That's what we doing? No. It's not just about points. It's about the chip. And it's not just about the chip. It's about the road you traveled to get to that point. And where people are missing my point, and I know Kendrick Perkins disagrees, but that's okay. You know, because I understand how phenomenal LeBron is. He's on the Mount Rushmore. I got him number 2 all time in the history of basketball. I mean, stop the presses, Kendrick Perkins. I don't know if you know this, but it's an incredible insult to the people who love LeBron James. How dare me say he's number 2 all time? I mean, I just sliced his career. I've just discredited him. I've just said, yo, you a scrub. You're horrible. I got him number 2 in the history of basketball since it started being played in 1946 and became the NBA in 1950. I got him number 2 all time. And you would think I've crucified this man, but so be it. Here's the deal. I saw what Jordan had to endure to get to where he was and to stay there. And the NBA game was very different back then, significantly rougher, and the road to prosperity was very, very much harder, okay? And that is what stands out in my mind. To be 6-0 in NBA Finals, all right? 6 NBA Finals MVPs, unblemished in championship round competition. Would have won 8-0 if he hadn't retired after his father passed away. In championship rounds, completely owned the entire decade without a blemish. I'm telling you right now, to me, because of that, and because of what I saw from the Bad Boy Pistons, because of what I saw from the Knicks, because of the Cleveland Cavaliers with Mark Price, Larry Nance, Matt Doherty, and those boys, because of all of those teams, the Phoenix Suns, Sean Kemp and Gary Payton in Seattle, Barkley and Marley and Kevin Johnson in Phoenix, and all of that other stuff, what I saw is what I saw. And to me, LeBron can't eclipse that. I'm going to always have MJ number 1 if the question is whether or not LeBron James or him is number 1. It's going to always be MJ for me.
You know why? You know why? Because as you get older, like my grandmother, right, 86 years old, and I go to her house and, you know, sometimes she does things that aggravate me, and I have to remind myself that the old saying, old people are what, Stephen A? They're stuck in their ways.
Stuck in their ways.
This, okay?
Yes,
and you know what? And you and I have been having great conversation on here, and we're going to continue to have great conversation today because I'm not going to let you raise my blood pressure up. I'm not about to sit up here and dive into, you know, how much pressure LeBron James had out of probably the most pressure out of any athlete in sports history. I'm not about to go into that today. I'm not about to go into how you just talked about Shaquille O'Neal saying the points and passing up Kareem and left out the fact that he said that he had 4 titles when you tried to make your Karl Malone comparison. I'm not going to even point that out today. But this is what I will tell you.
Kareem has 6 titles, but go ahead.
No. I'm saying you said that's what we're doing now when you were talking about Karl Malone.
Got it.
But Shaq said that he has 4 titles. I think Shaq is telling the truth. And look, here's a problem. This is the problem that I have when you come on here talking about these different eras, okay? I was in that era. I may look way older than LeBron James, and I understand I done gained 70 pounds of retirement weight, and I get all that, right? But we came into the NBA at the same time, where he had to go against a Paul Pierce, a Joe Johnson, a Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. The list goes on. And I don't want to come on here and discredit Thunder Dan, but do you know what LeBron James would have did to Thunder Dan or Jeff Hornacek?
Without question.
Or any of those guys. And I don't even want to bring up my guy Kevin Johnson because he just opened up this fabulous restaurant right next door to the ESPN studio, that soul food spot that I went to this past couple of days.
I didn't see that. You got a soul food spot there?
Look.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's
right on the corner.
Right on the corner. I eat there every day. The oxtails are off the chain, by the way. So listen, here's the thing.
So Shaq, I'm sorry.
Stephen A. We're starting to see multiple players come out and say this. You know, Shaq done said it. We hear the great Magic Johnson starting to lean that way. We hear other former players starting to say the same thing. Sooner or later, you're going to get on board with us, and you're going to realize that LeBron James is just different. No disrespect to Michael Jordan, because I got Michael Jordan #2 on my list. And by the way, every time you see me, I don't have LeBron on my feet. I have the Jays on my feet. I love Michael Jordan. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is just something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, what